the center of the map, and they're getting interior angles. So they're the ones that are positioned behind central islands, and they're soaking damage, and they're preventing the enemy team from just pushing through the center of the map. Now, these central positions are really good because they open up a lot of angles against for targets. You could, if you were in this battleship here, you could shoot, any targets over here, any targets over here, any targets over here. You've got a lot of versatility. But depending on exactly where you are in that position, anybody in those positions can shoot at you. So you wind up doing this a lot. You'll move forward to cut off any shots coming from over here and focus over there. Then you'll back up to say, okay, this is getting a little too hot, so maybe we need to focus somewhere else, and you close off those angles. And then, maybe once things start looking pretty good, you hop forward an island and you get some different angles, but you're not moving a whole lot. You're working in a fairly small area. And primarily what you're doing is you're presenting an impossible obstacle for anybody else trying to operate in that area on the other team. You might see other Kerfers, Kremlin, Prussians, whatever, doing the same thing as you, but you're on pretty even footing with them. And it just becomes who's getting better angles on who, and who realizes that and can retreat to a safe spot. So you're always thinking about these island play angles in these frontline battleships. And because of that, and because they're so crucial to just kind of sit there soaking up damage and getting those key cross shots, these are considered our anvils. They're meant to receive
043, thank you for
a
following
pounding and be able to deliver a pounding. Without these, what would happen to this battle if we had nothing positioned here in the center? Anybody know? Well, the enemy would take these positions, and our battleships off towards the flank. If all of a sudden you have a battleship that's starting to move through, let me put one on the field here. If you have a battleship that starts at, no, that's not right. Okay. Why aren't you giving me a red battleship? There's no red battleship. Why? Okay, well, let's see.
Just click at the where it says team.
Enemy.
Where it says team, you click enemy.
Yeah, that's what I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Huh.
Yes, sir.
It's just not going red. Okay, so let's say this is an enemy battleship. And this battleship, if he's, on the ball and all of a sudden realizes that there's no enemy battleships down here, there's really no defense, he can make moves through this central area. I mean, of course, other boats might, object to that, like torpedo destroyers, torpedo cruisers. They're serious threats, but this battleship has the tools to sort of rule the roost on these inside angles. And so if there's no big battleships just there to stop him, then he can take this angle, and he's starting to make life very difficult for your flank. In fact, maybe even completely untenable, especially if he goes here. At this point, this flank is in serious trouble because the center just folded. If you don't have a solid blocking force in the center doing this, then that's what happens. But these guys don't exist in a vacuum either. You've got other battleships on the field that are looking to make their stamp on the field. And in addition to these anvils, you've got the hammers who are pushing around the flanks. And these are things like Montana, Republique, maybe Bourgogne, Thunderer, perhaps, Ohio. What else am I missing here? They're faster generally.
My ship, Rigel. Ship I play all the time.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a hybrid. The Colombo. The Colombo can play an anvil roll, and it can play a hammer roll. The range on the Colombo is a little bit iffy, and that makes it a little bit less ideal playing this role, because this role is all about getting angles on opposing areas. So you see how these arrows here point to island angles, because that's what you're going to be fighting. You're fighting mostly cruisers and other flanking battleships positioned on these angles. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to push to a position where you've got a good angle on a position like here that you can shoot them and suddenly they don't have anywhere to go. Like if you had a guy that was bow into this island pointing to the south, you know, if he's down there, if you're pushing up around the flank, you've got him dead to rights. All you have to do is get a little further up, and then you got that cross shot. And without a battleship here on the flank, you can't do that. That's what the role is for these guys. They're also there to push the enemy back on the flank. That's really important, because if the enemy's sitting right here and you pull into danger close range and you're not trading fire with them, if you trade fire with them, then the best you're really hoping for is just brawling them down, and it's probably pretty even. Maybe you lost 3/4 of your health and you killed them, but you lost 3/4 of your health. You're probably going to die. That's not really what you're there to do. You're there to skirmish with them, to push them back, and to get the interior angle shots to help out your central battleships. Once you're starting to get the angle, especially if the enemy team is retreating, then you have options. These guys are the ones that break through that stalemate and can start to push. It's very dramatic when that happens, because then everything on the enemy team starts to collapse. And that's unlikely to happen on the inside. It can happen, but it's going to take a long time, because mostly they're fighting bow-in targets and they're just kind of brawling them down and they're using secondaries and all that stuff. But once you get battleships sweeping around on the flank and opening these angles up, that's where a flank goes from a cautious retreat to a full-on collapse. The third type of battleship that we have on the field here is a sniper. And this is something like Shikishima, Yamato, maybe Ohio, because its dispersion stays decent over range.
Thunderer?
Thunderer's another good one. Yeah. Anything else belong in that mix?
Satsuma.
Okay, Satsuma.
Ignoring super battleships, Bojon as well, in a way, if it's meant to be playing defensive.
Yeah. And
got Slava,
what you're
the ultimate
trying to do,
sniper.
Slava,
yeah, Slava is a very good example. What you're trying to do with these longer range battleships is shown by this this bubble over here on the right. Now, while the flanking battleships might be pushing up and trying to get angles, these sniper battleships are sitting back here, and all they really do is they have an effective range. And anything in this effective range, if it makes a mistake, goes broadside, pulls out too far, these are the guys that are able to supply force to that battleship that's done that. Like, for example, if you've got a battleship in the middle that's getting a little too spicy and he's pulling up, you know, he's an Anvil battleship, he's a Kremlin, he's making his charge, and these guys are getting pushed back. If they need support, they can't really get that support from your hammers pushing around the flank because there's big mountains in the way. But behind them, the longer range battleships, that's their role, is to assist wherever needed. And because they're more versatile with that range, they can apply damage over here, they can apply it over here, they can apply it over there, they can apply it on the flank. Wherever the enemy pops up, they should be getting Slava shells, Yamato shells. And because those supply additional angles for you to have to defend against, it can suddenly get very difficult to defend against multiple battleships at multiple different angles. Like, for example, if you're... Okay, I'm not going to be able to keep that up. But if your hammer is starting to push the flank out here, right? And then you have a enemy battleship that is cautiously retreating. Let me see if I can do this now. I don't know if it's fixed or not. Nope, it won't go red. But
Try adding them in as an ally.
Try what?
Try adding them as an ally. Maybe it's just backwards.
I thought that.
He tried that.
Yeah, I tried that. I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just not. Okay, so if this is an enemy battleship out here, and the flank is starting to suddenly get pushed, if he's smart, he probably moves for this island and starts turning and moving away. But moving east for this island is really difficult when you've got a Yamato sitting out right there, just waiting for you to try it, you know? So you've got a really good angle between the Yamato and your pusher. And that's just going to make this guy's life a living hell. If he turns north, well, that's no good. If he turns northwest, that's probably okay. But when he does that, he's giving up a lot of ground on this flank because he's got to kind of kite away because he can't stay there getting hit by these guys. So if you had just two pushing battleships, then that's not really as much of a threat. He can just hold this island position right here and let those guys push around. They're right on his nose. He can punish them. and he's forcing them to play his game. The battleship sitting back as a sniper is going to stop this type of play and force him to do other things. Now, of course, nobody, again, exists in a vacuum. And the pushing battleships, the sniping battleships, and the central anvil battleships are all going to have different threats, things that they really struggle to kill. And they're going to have certain primary targets, things that they, kill really well. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's see. Anybody want to volunteer to answer a question or two on that? How about Golfman? Golfman, if you're playing a central battleship like a Kremlin or a Kurfürst, what is your primary target? What are you really looking to accomplish with that in terms of damage?
If I'm a central battleship, and I'm going aggressive on the center, if there's any DDs nearby, they would be my primary target because they're the most immediate threat to my safety. But otherwise, it's basically just any shot on a broadside that they're not expecting me. It's expecting the angle I'm coming from.
Yeah, getting at angles is really key. Also, working island corridors is really key. With the central locations, it's not necessarily as much about who you can shoot, but where. So if we were going to do like, I think I can do this. No. Yeah, okay. That would be a big danger zone for central battleships right here. He can kill anything up there. Depending on his positioning, he may be able to kill here and kill there. These are the prime areas that you can target. Now, what is a danger zone that can target you when you're in a central battleship position?
So the same corridors.
Same corridors, but you also have further out corridors. That's not right. You also have these areas out here that, depending on where you're at, these guys out here, they can target you. Same thing for out here. These areas, they can come in and they can target you, depending on your exact position on these islands. And so playing a central battleship is pretty risky, and you're really relying on your team to see how, or you're looking at your team to see how they're doing on the flanks. If they're pushing these guys back, then you don't have to worry about shots coming in from these angles because those ships have already withdrawn to the north or to the east. If they've given up that angle, then you can probably play a little bit more aggressive out here because you don't have to worry about those angles as much. And that gives you better interior angles that you can actually use to get your damage. If you fail to recognize that this is happening, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of that, and you won't be able to get the damage that you could really get out of your ship by moving up or taking an angle on your primary target locations that you could otherwise get. Similarly, if you're working on the flanks, the battleships out here, their primary role is going to be pushing back the enemy battleships on the flanks out here. That's really what they're trying to do. Not only does that open up room for them, but it opens up room for the center. And so if you're playing a central battleship and that's not going well, and your battleships are falling back, and your flank is giving way, then you really can't make these central plays here because you don't have coverage. These flanks are giving away, and you're going to get too much crossfire to make these positions actually work for you. You're going to have to stay a little bit more cautious and play a little further back just because your flanks aren't reliable. You might even try to assist the flank a little bit. Maybe go for a play here because there's limited angles other than the flank that could target you there. And, you could make that angle work to help assist the flank play. You really have to keep your eyes open on what's happening on the flanks in addition to what's happening in the center to know whether you're playing your central battleship positioning correctly. The flanks, much easier. You push the enemy back, and then you just take shots. If they're pushing you back, then you give ground, but you're looking to reestablish an advantage somewhere. Any questions about central battleship targeting, positioning, things like that? Okay. So with the flanking battleships, their primary targeting positions, you can see with these pink arrows, are here. They're looking to drive the flanks back. But where's the danger come from when you're playing a flanking battleship? Anybody have any guesses?
EDs.
Yeah, I mean, DDs are a problem no matter where you play. But these flanking battleships island camping, that's a big one too. But your primary job is to smash those island campers, So if you've got some spotting, you can probably get those smashes off, and your guns are bigger. So yeah, you'll probably win that, hopefully, Say again? I'm not sure what that was.
Someone's microphone has exploded.
Yeah.
Fire smoke.
Fire smoke, your mic is doing weird things.
All right, he's trying to fix it, I guess. So while you're working out here on these flanks, you do have to worry about these island positions and about destroyers. Destroyers are a threat no matter where you are on the field. But these pushing battleships are probably the biggest risk of getting torped, because the danger is that they start moving in a predictable pattern. A predictable pattern would be something like this. No, wrong color. Let's do this. Predictable pattern would be something like this. If you're moving around on the flank here like that, then any destroyer in the area worth his salt is going to go, oh, that battleship, I can torp him. And he'll try, and they'll probably succeed. Battleships playing on the flanks, especially if there's a torp threat in the area, need to be playing it a little bit less directly, especially when there's torp threats.
Are we assuming that it's only battleships out in the flanks, or are there like other ship types escorting them or whatever?
Well, tonight's class is specifically on battleships, but you can't ignore other classes, So torps are definitely a threat. But
yeah, I was going to say carriers too, because battleships on a flank are typically only battleships on a flank. You don't see cruisers out there, so you've got weak AA.
Yeah, carriers will pick on the battleships on the flank and also the sniper battleships. It really depends on how much AA escort you have out here and what your AA opposition looks like as to how much of the problem that would be. Kind of the same thing for torpedoes. If you see that you're facing a Kabrask, that's probably not the biggest torpedo threat. You could probably, at least skirmish with him, and probably come out ahead. That's not a huge issue for you in a battleship, at least. And so you could probably push this in a straight line pretty confidently. If you know that you're facing a Shimakaze, on the other hand, then that's probably not the case. You're going to have to mix it up a little bit. But since this is battleship class, the primary things that would endanger you on the flank, in addition to the torpedoes and the island huggers that you can never even see, are other flanking battleships and also the sniping battleships. But that's relatively easy to deal with because you can just kind of stay bow into them. The real threat that you have is if any of these sneaky central battleships are deciding that they want to take a different angle. Maybe this guy over here, he backs up and then cruises down right here. If you're trying to push this flank up and all of a sudden this curve first is getting big 20K salvos off on your side, you're not going to last long. So that's a problem. You can't go bow into him. Otherwise, the flanking battleship's got your broadside. And this suddenly becomes a huge issue. Goes from a push to a no-go, run away, you're probably dead. So you have to watch what those central battleships are doing because they represent a big ability to shift the balance. And if you're confidently pushing a flank and the enemy is running away, keep half an eye on how the center fight is going because this is going to be a problem sooner or later. And if the enemy decides that it needs to be a problem sooner, then you got to know about it. In fact, you should probably even be able to predict it a little bit. Questions on flanking battleship play?
I don't have a question on flanking battleships, but can you explain to everybody the concept of the engagement circle?
Okay. So every battleship is going to have a maximum effective range. This may not be the same thing as the maximum gun range on your battleship. North Carolina is a prime example of it. It's got 22 kilometer guns, but it's only really effective out to 15 kilometers. You know, there you just can't hit anything reliably outside that range because your gun's just the bullet velocity is so slow. You're really lucky if you actually get a good solid hit on somebody that's moving and maneuvering outside of like 15 kilometers. So what that would look like here on the map would be something like this. A shorter engagement window. This is probably all you could comfortably manage in a shorter engagement window battleship. Now, fortunately at tier 10, most battleships, especially ones that are working open water, have, more comfortably a 20 kilometer effective range. And that looks a little bit more like that's probably about 20 km there. Shots out here, that's a long range. You may not get devastating strikes, but you can expect to do some damage. If there's a broadside cruiser sitting still, you could probably citadel it, And with your central battleship's shorter range, if this is a Kremlin or a Kurfürst, it probably can effectively damage things right up about to there. So as you can see, there's parts on this map where these areas overlap. And these areas here create deadly zones for enemy ships. One of the things you're looking to do with your engagement windows is take these overlap points and put them on parts of the map where enemy boats are. So if there's a cruiser right here, you're going to want to position here and work with your central battleships to try to get this angle. And suddenly, you've got a kill. This is a reliable kill if you're working on that target, and there's really nothing stopping you. Now, if you have other battleships working in concert with you, you have one more variable to work on, and that is the angle at which your shells are coming in. Let's say that you're working from the central battleship position here, the slightly more central one here. So if you push up to this island, if you've got, it's getting kind of messy. If you push up to this island here and you're working on a flank, what you want to do, let's see if I can manage this. I know that's probably not going to work, but if you're working on killing a cruiser and the cruiser goes bow into you, that would look like shots here. So he's bow in to that angle. What would take him out of that position would have to come from like over here, right? Just because of the island cover and island angles. There's not a lot that can do that except for this guy. And this is a bit of a stretch.
Given how I know how high that island is, probably not.
Probably not even that. Yeah, you'd have to be like maybe there.
Yeah,
this is risky. You're probably not going to get this. But when you're working in a more of an open water scenario, let's say you've got a Yoshino out there and you're taking this island position here. If you have another battleship that's moving up and takes a similar position with you, then, so let's say that he's here. Now we can both shoot him. Now, with these two angles, that's pretty easy to angle against because all this Yoshino has to do is put his tail on you and he can throttle jockey and he's probably not going to take a ton of damage. He'll just wiggle back and forth. He's not really presenting much of a citadel threat. This is a pretty safe position to be. But if you take this secondary battleship and you make him not take the same angle, but you give him a different angle. Now, Kevin, smarty pants, tell me what this does.
It means the Yoshino is going to go slightly to the right, sailing north to the border.
Yeah.
Trying to get.
And the only thing that he can do is pray that this battleship does not citadel him as he does it. You're forcing this Yoshino to take a very specific course, and that is away. He can't hold that angle because if he stays still, there's nowhere he can point his bow that won't get him citadeled from somebody. He can't even stay stern in. No, he's got to open up the range. He's got to change this. So keeping your battleships with angles that are, spreading your battleships apart, you don't want to stack them up together, is super important. A classical example of that is on the east here. If you've got battleships on the east and you send, say, You got 2 pushers, right? So you got a Montana and you got a Ohio. If you send them both over here, then you're not giving any angles to the enemy team that they can't deal with. But if you send your, say, Ohio inside and your Montana a little further outside, you've got angles to work with now because you can do this. And you can do this. These angles here are massive. This is how boats get killed because there are more angles than they can deal with. You're always looking for something that opens up an angle here between these incoming lines that is more than the bounce angle of shells, you know? And that bounce angle is usually like, what is it? 30 degrees, 35 maybe. That's usually where you can expect to start getting citadels. And so these angles here, this is about 35 degrees. This is a little bit wider, but with that island in the way, you got to get a little wider. So you're looking at opening up those angles of shots, and so you can get citadels on these guys with your flankers. And so making a mad rush out to the flanks isn't always the best way to do it, because if you send everybody out there, then maybe you don't actually accomplish too much. Make sense?
Duh.
Okay. Now, snipers are both easier because you're just kind of sitting back and you're shooting guns, and harder because you have to think about also playing a hammer roll, going in and playing a flank and making an aggressive move. If you sat back here the whole game, we've always seen that happening, right? It's the Yamato sitting in the back, that just kind of driving around in circles, and he ends up going back here, and he just doesn't seem like he's accomplishing much, right? Now, there's a difference between a Yamato that does that and gets in the bottom half of the team and never really gets above like 80k damage, and a Yamato that is out here that when the battleships push, he pushes with them. He's not in the lead. He's staying a little further behind, so he's not the primary target most of the time. Maybe he can, jump up and take a little bit of damage sometimes and then fall behind, but, mostly he's playing second fiddle to these slightly more durable pushers. Like a Slava, he just doesn't have the armor that a Montana does. Same thing with a Yamato. Yamato can just burn out pretty easily. He can't take the lead. But if your pushers are pushing and you're not pushing, then you're missing the opportunity for those angles. And so you got to kind of keep your relative position here. And so that when you're pushing, come on, can I multi-select? I can multi-select. Oh no. When you're pushing, that formation stays relatively intact. Maybe it's going here, maybe it's going here, wherever it is, the orientation between your fleet is going to be staying mostly the same. Not entirely, but, mostly. So you also have to think about maybe it's not the best idea to go out on the flank. Maybe everybody on the flank is already running away. Well, if you're in a Slava or Yamato and that's the case, then you're probably not going to get a ton of damage by pushing out here and continuing to push there. A lot of times, if the enemy's retreating on one flank, they're going to be attacking on the other. And so you're probably going to want to move a little bit more central, or even maybe a little bit back here to stop that attack. You're looking for situations where the enemy is not expecting those shells to come in from 22 kilometers and just absolutely wreck them. And that's a nuanced thing. There's no right or wrong answer, but you do have to express a little bit of intention when you're doing it. And on that intention is most of the time best served by staying with your pushing battleships. And if you're pushing, you help enforce that wrap. You wrap around that flank with the rest of your team, because you're going to be able to get really good shots through this corridor, and those shots are really key. Getting that extra sniper battleship up there can enforce that flank nicely. Any questions?
I have one. So, I don't want to bring this up early of the next upcoming season, but what battleship would you prefer, since it's going to be a one slot thing?
Montana! That's the most versatile battleship out there. There's nothing out there
Oh.
that really comes close.
Well, you
It-
also have
Am I
super
gonna be
ships
forced to
in the
play
next.
Montana again?
Montana's just the best. There's nothing else that can do everything.
Ohio would be the other one. I
Ohio
think.
struggles at longer range.
Ohio struggles at long engagements because it has a rapid cooldown. It has a rapid cooldown repair, but you can burn through that really quickly. You don't even realize it. So
Yeah, and it doesn't have the heal intensity.
your plus
that
it's a weaker heal.
It's a
Oh, it
weaker
is. It
heal.
is a weaker
Yeah.
heal. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
It's considerably
faster
weaker.
reloading.
Yeah, it's faster to reload, but you're going to burn through those consumables quickly. So it kind of operates a little bit more like a Kremlin in that sense. It's got pretty good survivability for a shorter burst. You can keep it up for about 5 minutes, and then it starts becoming a problem. Whereas Montana can probably do it for 8 or 10.
You can take short-term engagements pretty well with Ohio, but if you're taking like long fights, you're gonna suffer real hard.
Yeah. Montana's probably just the most versatile battleship because it can tank reasonably well. Not as good as a full tanky battleship, but it can do its job there. It can snipe reasonably well, not as good as a full snipey battleship, but it can do its job there. And it can it can push. Its primary role is probably as a pusher. Going out in a flank over here, it's a hammer. Coming around, getting the angles, getting the kills, because it's just got a ton of big guns. It's a lot. Having 12 guns on that boat is just a lot to deal with. Other notable ships would probably be the Kremlin, the Ohio, and
Super ships.
I
doubt we'll
don't
see
see
many.
super battleships being used because it's better to just bring 2 super cruisers or a super cruiser and super destroyer if you really want to go that route.
The difference between a cruiser and a super cruiser is reasonably large. The difference between a battleship and a super battleship is not as large because there comes a point when if your guns are just too big, you're going to be overpenning everything, and there's no real point to bring it.
Because the only super battleship worth even bringing it's Satsuma, but the problem is you're trying to get that ability off, and you need to land that salvo. You do, but that's really down to skill level at that point.
I could see a few Satsumas, but it would be in a very specific fleet, and I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of
Maneuvers.
fleet.
Hanover's going to be a pushover because you're going to get burnt down to a crisp by all the super crews that you're going to see.
It's going to be similar to the Kurfürst in terms of its performance. It'll run in, it'll get some secondary damage, might even get a kill, and then it dies, and there's no more battleship. That's it. And the enemy team can really exploit that if they know what they're doing. So, of course, this is commentary, I think, from more of a 33 perspective. If you have a Satsuma and you're good in it, and you're playing it well in 32 or 31 or 30, go for it, man. I mean, it's great. If you want to play Hanover, bring it. Maybe you're better than everyone else. That's awesome. When you start hitting a high level of competition, though, then there'll be certain boats that just by dint of being less effective in the roles at which they're being placed, they're not going to be able to do as well. And so, that's where we talk about metas and what ends up being just that little bit extra better. Any other questions? Because we're going to go in and we're going to practice this if everybody's ready.
How do I, never mind. It's irrelevant.
Gotcha.
Ready?
So, I'm going to get a training room up here.
I won't be joining because I have to actually install my updates, which I haven't yet.
For shame.
You don't have it pre-downloaded, Kev?
I have
Auto
it pre-downloaded, but I don't have it installed. By the time it's going to be installed, it's going to be over.
How potato is your computer, Kev?
It's because the last part of the download always takes so bloody long.
Training room's up.
These take forever too.
I'm pretty sure my computer sucks more.
Yeah, mine's no spring chicken anymore either.
Like, the graphics card has crashed while playing World of Warships on lowest settings. So,
no. My graphics card is not terrible, but my motherboard and processor are getting real old.
We just all loading up in random battleships. So
Give
Yep.
me them.
Grab a battleship. Doesn't really matter what type. DOW, Spectator, Roger.
are we allowing super ships in there too? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, if you have a super ship and you want to bring it, I don't mind.
Hey, it's a great way to play your super ship without breaking your bank account.
Also true. Hit my Yamagiri a couple times. I've broken my bank account doing it.
I don't have any battleships.
You just open up your service cards like, oh god, it's 370k
on a
credit.
good game, you lose like 200k. It's like, oh no.
Tom, use those the credit reduction flags. Those are usually so useless.
What are we doing?
Here's the
Skirmishes
time.
so I can play Yamagiri.
To be fun.
So you actually come out with a credit negative?
Yeah, the service costs of all super ships are like 370k. And you can't,
and they don't give you credits either.
and the perma camera doesn't actually reduce your service cost, so that's a 370k flat rate. So enjoy.
No, they give you credits though. You do get credits from them.
All right.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
Now you
do we have another sniper battleship? Because we've got one on Alpha side, and
I'm in a game right now. Once I come out, I'll join.
Do you want me to go Yamato? I can go Yamato.
We've got one on Bravo right now. We've got a Vermont on the field. We could just, I guess, pair that up with 2 Thunderers, and that'll be fine.
You want me to go Thunder too? I can swap if you.
I don't want to put 2 Schlieffens on the same team. So let's do this. Oh, I gotta increase the tier limit here.
So the only 2 super cruisers are the Condi and the worst Des Moines, right?
Annapolis.
And
And quite frankly, given the fact that it's only one bit battleship, I see Condi's being used over Annapolis, unless you want to use a smoke strap for the Annapolis, because there's no playing it otherwise.
The reload booster on the Condi.
Okay, I'm joining.
I do see the Conde.
Condi's reload booster makes it
higher tier.
The boost is awesome.
I think the Conde is gonna see a lot of performance this season.
It's
solid. The Annapolis is probably gonna get some. I'm just not sure how much yet.
I don't know anything about it. I've just heard it's worse than the
Pontre too, the super French battleship that's coming. You might see later in the season.
Unless it gets released during that season, you're never gonna see it then at that point because it's still in test.
Yeah. It just got into testing. So
okay.
I want the super Shimakaze with a sextuple.
I have it, Yamagiri. It's fun.
I mean,
I love my Hanover. My first game in it was almost 200k damage.
Oh, right. Spectate only. I just saw the chat.
Team is unbalanced though right now though. Wait, never mind.
No, I pulled the wrong person over there. Okay, so
I've got a 15-minute timer until I can apply to join.
Oh no, there's a Bismarck.
I'm the guy you interviewed the other day.
Bullying.
Okay, so Bismarck Alpha Team, could I get you grab 1 tier 8 to match Bismarck?
I got it.
Okay. And I'm going to try to fill in wherever we're weak.
Where's Golf? Golf, where are you?
I'm here and I'm not here. I'm busy taking a test and filling out some forms for the Air Force. Dude, every time I click on a new button or a new text box in this form, it disconnects me and takes 20 seconds to reconnect. You have no idea how pissed off I am.
Who created this stuff?
The Air Force, obviously.
I mean, you can tell where
they need some more competent.
You can tell where the defense budget is going into, not into designing a goddamn useful website.
Okay, I think that's probably right. Okay, so this looks pretty balanced. On the lineup here, we've got Schlieffen, which can play as a pusher or a little bit of a central battleship. We've got Ohio, which is also a pusher or a central battleship. Montana, which is whatever hell it wants to be. Hanover, which is more central again. It's more of a tank. Massachusetts and it's double Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I swapped to make it even.
Got it. So those are pushers. You're going to see them on the flanks. And then Thunderer, Vermont. Those are snipers. and then Kremlin is more of a central tank. So we're going to split up on this map according to our roles. Try to pick a position that emphasizes the best attributes of your battleship. If it's more of a tank, then maybe go a little more central. Looks for some island play. If it's speed and angles, then that's what you're going to be doing, is going out on the flank and supporting. If it's range and blapping power like the Vermont, then you work the angles, but you stay behind your pusher battleships. Now, the only thing that's a little bit unrealistic about our setup here is that we don't have destroyers. We don't have spotting. And so people on the flanks are going to be able to do some weird stuff in terms of going dark and taking cover and not getting shot. It's effective, but what you have to remember is that since there's no destroyers, there's nothing to stop anybody from just making a flank run if you're not out there stopping them. So it's a little unrealistic in some ways, but we'll give it a shot. Everybody ready to go? Okay. Now we're all going to stay in the same channel here. It's not going to be any super secret things, really. We're not doing a tactics or deployment or something, but let's try to make sure that we're putting our battleships where they're most effective.
Hey, Sherman, we're basically kind of like the Napoli. We're the cruisers of this game.
Yeah, basically.
Cruisers, destroyers. I'm gonna get bullied. I can already tell.
Torpedoes from Schlieffen too.
Let's go left.
That's
Okay.
a cruiser. Schlieffen's a cruiser. Come on.
Did someone say bully me?
There's probably going to be.
I think somebody said everybody should go left.
Bet.
There should have been on Two Brothers.
Everybody go to A1 or J10 respectively of your team.
No, let's climb the mountain to A1. That looks pretty good.
If you're on the south side, you got to go to A1. If you're on the north side, you got to go to
Next week's training is how do you push the middle channel in Two Brothers as a battleship, and it's just a freaking roadblock.
Yep.
I don't
just ram.
That's actually a class. I don't know if there's any tactics there.
Alright, so
did they break the game with this last patch? I'm not loaded in yet. Come on.
I think it's maybe just a computer again.
God damn it, Rigel! I'm gonna ram into you, you fool!
Do it.
You're fine. You're fine.
Woods, you're going to a place that would be
So huge.
I want to shoot at other ship and make it go boom.
I want to shoot that Kremlin next to me.
Kremlin. I think we should melt the Kremlin. Yes.
Nice skin, Vermont.
Oh yeah, credits. I love credits.
God, that's such a serial killer thing to say.
Damn it.
Nice skin.
All the 0 credits you're making in training room.
You got
Vermont.
Wait until you see the Hanover, because that's like, vacation camo there.
You should
Musketeer, kick it forward. You got right away.
Makes me want some
pizza for some reason. I'm turning left.
Look at our Montana. Sexy, bro.
The bigger my ship is, the harder it turns, okay?
I have a strange feeling on the super ships you're going to see camos you've never seen before.
Bro, the Russian DD, best DD, changed my mind.
It's the Khabarovsk and they retired it for a reason.
Because it's a terrible destroyer.
Oh, 51 begs to differ. He's just showing off his amazing Khabarovsk games.
That's fine.
It's not a terrible destroyer. It's a good destroyer.
It's not what a destroyer does.
I played it. I got some kills.
Am I what? No, you can take it. I'll head other side.
It's a gunboat.
Look, it's a fun boat to play, but it's not a good boat to play.
But nobody was.
It's a good boat. It has 10k torques, like the Shiva.
No, it doesn't. Cab has 7k.
Yeah,
they took the 10ks off.
Yeah,
It has 10k.
running
I
over
think.
towards you at the beginning of the game. I waited a second. I was like, all right, well, I guess we're all just going over there.
Bro, this is gonna take so long.
Okay, Muskie, you're just kind of sitting there. You're more of a shorter range brawler, right?
I'm a long range brawler, I think.
Okay, so
No,
you need to get some island cover. Otherwise,
the
everybody's
wiki,
just gonna burn you down.
The wiki on Khan it has 6 kilometer tops. It doesn't have 10 anymore. They removed it ages ago.
Wait, who?
How am I not surprised Leap is driving that ship?
No, I mean,
wow, I'm not surprised either. Ooh.
to take any battleship. Why would I not take my favorite battleship? In fact, my favorite ship. Why would I not take my favorite ship?
The Regola didn't replace it yet?
No, the Regola will never replace this ship, although I do love the Regola. The Regola will not replace this ship.
Columbo.
This is by far my favorite ship.
Okay, so we've got an early Schlieffen push. Bone is making that Schlieffen dance. Let's get fire on him so he doesn't just rush through.
Espada, you're so brave.
I'm a cruiser, might as well.
I guess ramming Montana's worth it.
This form is making me not want to do it.
It's worth it. Best experience of your life.
I have to get
Even though
people's.
you make
I have to find people's individual information to
Didn't see
verify
you.
every single thing that I'm submitting on.
Watch your back, Rigel.
Uh-huh.
The hell is when did I get offered
He's hacking.
this job? Okay.
He's obviously hacking. I hate this guy.
Aha! 3 overcomes. I'll beat you. I'm gonna burn
That was
down.
so many
Okay,
secondaries.
thank Christ you didn't AP me down there, Matt. Davis.
I tried. It.
Ah, you took a gun out. Now you're not gonna. Okay.
Ooh, that was a big salvo.
Oh, Massachusetts,
All right, so-
why is your gun accuracy so bad?
All right, so Azul, you're giving up the flank to Thunder in Ohio, and that's going to make Hanover and Massachusetts like unviable here in a little bit. We're going to have to be pretty careful about this and put down the enemy Hanover. And then start giving some support to our flank.
Really? You're gonna ram me? In a
You're
training mission?
you're pushing into Montana.
I mean, why?
I'm
Why
a,
did you
I'm
push
a
so
tier
close to
9.
Montana? That's the better question. Yeah, why'd you push so close? You had the range there, and you had the tier advantage. You shouldn't have gone that close at all. You could have sat by this island.
I didn't kill him anyway, but it was worth a shot.
Oh, you are because you can't repair.
Oh, wait, there I did.
Quite unfortunate.
Damn it.
I've played a lot of tier 8 to tier 10s. This is an inevitable ending.
Hanover go burr.
Okay, we're getting wrapped on the west.
Hanover's a warthog.
Warthog.
Well, whenever I hear burr, that's exactly what I think of.
We do have a ship advantage, but we're keeping them all really close in.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Kremlin's going to end me. I can't angle against everything here.
Call focus fire. Nobody's calling focus fire.
Well, I kind of figure when there's 3 guys staring at a Kremlin, they know how to shoot it.
Theoretically.
You should.
Assumption makes an ass of you and me.
Yeah,
Guys?
you never assume anything. You always
Gosh?
say everything.
Females?
That's how you win battles. You say everything.
Oh my God.
Females.
And also learning how to play your ship better is the big goal here for me. My fat, juicy target 2.
Dick.
Excuse me.
Azul, you want
Bless
to
you.
trade some heals?
Yeah, I need a ship printer.
God.
I just want guns that can actually pen something. That'd be nice.
Burn 'em.
Each 45.
Right.
Yeah.
16th Amendment income taxes.
People keep talking about these overpen mechanics for bows, and they never seem to work for me.
You have to know where to aim. And depends on the ship and depends on your guns, and there's a lot of stuff you need to know in order to take advantage of it.
It
That seemed ill-timed, Rigel.
Why is Davis?
Well,
Why is
we
Davis
didn't
still
have
alive?
We didn't have a choice. Left flank just got rolled over because we didn't have anything out wide.
Yeah, except me.
Well, we didn't have anything out in 1-2. See, they took a wider angle than you and just started pushing back.
Bang, you
Equal
got that? Or?
protection and due process.
Bang obviously has the ram. I am stuck.
Bang, do you need to take the ram, though?
Yes, I know.
You're gonna? Okay. I mean, you don't have to. I'm here. Don't need it.
No, Vermont guns, you failed. Whatever.
So,
132k damage.
Your left flank is dead unless you start
faster.
murdering that Montana.
Oh, I was gonna help Bang. I didn't realize he was just gonna.
Massachusetts versus
Trying to help out Bang.
Montana. Who will win?
Yay.
Perfect
Perfect score on my
accuracy.
public policy test.
Nice. Good job
Well,
on
congratulations, Ghost.
It's because the if you want the real reason, it's because it's 2 attempts, and so they show you what the answers you got wrong on the first attempt are. So you just
Oh, so and the same questions?
Yeah, it's all the same questions. So you
Oh
just
my
go in
goodness.
like, oh, I got this one wrong, switch. Oh, I got this one wrong.
Oh, can't you just screenshot every single question? Just get them all, just guess randomly.
I mean, I can just have the grade for the one that I just took, which was still like an 85%, and then just scroll through all the questions and be like, which ones did I miss? Okay, cool. And then just start the next one in a separate tab and just have them open on both my screens at the same time.
Hanover. Aim
Most of the
lower.
time, I mean, most of the time it's just like the wording is terrible, so I get it wrong because it's like either the answers or the question are just worded so poorly that I don't understand what the hell they're asking. So yeah. You know, like there's a question that says 2 elements necessary for a crime, and the answer is a guilty mind and a guilty act, right? But how does that play into involuntary manslaughter? Like that's a crime, but there's no guilty mind there, you know? Like it doesn't make sense. How is this the right answer?
I hate that I understand what he's talking about, and I don't have a way to describe it to him.
Need
I understand
opportunity.
exactly what he's talking about, and I have no way to describe. Well, it means
like how is that a guilty mind? I don't understand.
Need
heard lower wording on
opportunity
Punjab.
and the ability to rationalize your actions.
Well, negligence is criminal.
We
And
should
Right.
re-
require
Here's the other
premeditation or forethought. It's the lack thereof
Right.
that was a crime.
Right. So it could be foreknowledge, it could be a conscience, it could be your mind, it could be your act, it could be your negligence, right? But those aren't one of 2 necessary elements for a crime, right? Like this question makes no sense. So I put none of these because you could have just a guilty act or just a negligent act, and that's enough for a crime. You know?
So
Right, your
Master-
criteria are flawed if that's what you're considering as a criteria, that you have to have evil thoughts to commit
All right,
crimes.
let's
You don't
focus
have
up,
to have
guys.
evil
Master,
thoughts.
looks like you've parked your battleship broadside to Colombo. Just curious as to why.
Probably for the same reason Columbo gave Masher the broadside of his
His
boat.
guns are 360. That's so unfair.
Mistakes were made by both, yes. But, I mean, Montana was dead stop in the water broadside. Colombo was at least trying to do some angling magic. Now, that's a little overturned because now you can't get your front guns on. You need to keep that damage up. Yeah, you overturned now.
Mm-hmm. You want to let go of the turn like 10 seconds before you want to actually stop turning, because that's how long it takes for your rudder to level off.
Squirrel, we need a squirrely rescue.
The acorn.
The Columbo puts out a disgusting amount of lead.
It does, yeah.
It
and at
puts
this
out
range,
16
Columbo's
spicy meatballs.
got this,
Close
looks
range
like.
Columbo too.
Come on, Scrat got his acorn. Let's go.
He did, didn't he?
Leaf is
Man.
giving up a lot of damage though on that Montana. That's going to make it a lot harder to kill this Thunder, which we have no idea where he is. Okay, so while we're waiting for this these battleships to find each other, could anybody tell me why this battle played out the way it did? Because I noticed a couple of things in the way it played out.
It looked like a brawl.
Well, we had a brawl in the center.
Yeah, whatever tried
Well,
to...
we had a Republic and Vermont brawl on the 10 line too.
There was that too.
Yeah, there was that.
Rigel, you're still streaming the Chrome tab, so I can't see what's going on.
Got it.
I think early on in the middle, we definitely had an advantage when whatever tried to suicide torpedo Rigel didn't manage to pull it off and just got blapped.
Yeah. I mean, and I was expecting it. That was a little too soon for that to work. You know,
Well, I mean,
if he had
we
stalled
had
it a little bit.
on the flanks because he had 3 ships right at Bravo, and I think I was the only one for my team to be at Bravo.
Yeah, the advantage for Bravo team, the guys in the south, was the eastern side. You know, we had a Republic on that flank. We had a Colombo who could probably push, and the enemy team was not well positioned out on the 910. It was just a Vermont, and that's a sniper. You know, the Colombo and the Republic can probably just run over him. You know, and that shouldn't be too bad if they work together. The problem was, while there was that advantage out there, we didn't really take advantage of it by enforcing that eastern flank. We just kind of stayed a little bit too central, and we didn't think about pushing the flank with enough force to make that actually work. So I would probably say Colombo probably could have gone out there. Then we had, what was it, another Montana that was like on the 6-7 line. That was a decent initial position, but if you're not going to go through the 6 line channel, then there's no point in positioning up there, and if there's a battleship there, then you're not going through there. So go 8 line instead and help out with that Vermont kill, because that needs to happen. That guy got to die, and he can't retreat because he's just too slow. So yeah, just pick on him, bully him, get him down, and then you can wrap around the flank. Especially if you have 3 battleships focusing on that, then that's pretty much guaranteed. You got that. Now, an example of how that worked very well would be on Alpha Cap for the northern team. They had the Thunder and the Ohio just go around the flank, and nothing really stopped them. We had a Montana out there who just got pummeled and retreated, and that happens. But when that happens, we give up the flank, and that can happen on one flank, but we had that happen on 2 flanks. And so Bravo team had to glide back from a very risky position, and I don't even know if we're going to win it even so.
I think you guys will win them.
Hey, Rigel.
Yeah, what?
I have a Palmer.
Bring it if you want.
I have a French friend.
I have a Tillman 4-2.
He took
I mean,
my
if
Rice
you're a fight between a Thunder and a Colombo, I think the Colombo should win that every time. Thunder just doesn't have the armor to stand up to it. Yeah, big sap salvo. Angle's pretty bad, but
It also could depend on the fire RNG.
The
fire RNG just doesn't matter at this point. Nothing's close.
never say never. He's just flat bow in right now. He's only got 4 guns. You've got twice that number. But you can't really get your back.
Squirrel, I think Leaf will ram you.
Don't ram.
The thing is Squirrel right now can do damage uncontested. But
right now
here's the timer.
Right now, here's the problem. Squirrel doesn't have momentum, which means he's not going to be able to affect how this battle goes down.
No.
Leaf has a lot of speed. he'll be free to maneuver however he wants.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So-
a loss on points.
Leaf is just gonna kind of come in.
Ooh,
ram
there's
his
the
way
magic
into
ring.
ram his way into the cap here and win.
Yep.
Oh no!
I'm ahead on
Oh
points.
no!
I'm
Don't
Oh
ram him.
no!
Don't do it.
play
Don't do
smarter
it.
and not win.
No!
He's doing it.
No.
Beep.
Boom. So yeah, Bravo team won there. I get the feeling we weren't really supposed to though, because that Thunderer Ohio push around the west side was so strong, and we really didn't counter it, you know, and we really didn't advance on the east until pretty late in the fight. So, a couple of things that I'd like to see changed here on this side, like Masher in the Montana. If you see that the Vermont is the only ship out on the east flank, well, you're a pusher. Don't let a sniper be the only one pushing. You know, go out there and push with him. That 2-to-1 advantage would have just ruined the Republic, and you guys could have been wrapping on both flanks. That would have been an easy win.
I'll be honest. I was sitting there for
I
a while.
almost beat the Republic alone. Almost.
I was fully expecting him to push up.
Yeah.
He just never did.
Mm-hmm. And then also, Azul, you could potentially have had a Massachusetts with you, but I don't think that would have really changed too much. So you were most likely going to lose that flank. That's fine.
Yeah, I was in a position where I was just trying to buy time because of what was surrounding me. There wasn't much else I could do.
You're absolutely right. And you might not actually win a kiting battle against a Ohio and a Thunderer. You know, they might just burn you out. But you'd be better off in a kiting position, especially if you manage to hold the 1 or 2 line. Just go out to 1-2, get your bow south, keep the range up, juke as much of the incoming as you can, and so long as you're keeping your boat alive out there, then they're not going to be able to execute the wrap that they did. And the central formation can start getting shots when they come in and overextend. But if you go back to take a more central position and hug an island, then we're losing that wide flank position. Does that make sense?
In those
So you can kite the
circumstances, yes.
Yeah, you can kite the wide flank. That's good, positive. But if you come back centrally, then we're giving up the wide flank. And early on in the game, that's devastating. You know, it forces people to do things that they really can't afford to do.
Yeah, I sort of autopiloted to my usual spot in randoms in a defensive position there, and
Yeah.
it showed.
Yep. Okay. Lesson learned. Well, let's try this again. And this time, let's split up the teams into 2 different rooms. And so that we can work with each other and give some of these helpful pointers during the map with the teammates we can see.
So we have a bit of a tier imbalance again.
We got an 8 and a 9.
9 and have 110 switch to a 9 on Bravo.
Yeah,
And
that means I have to sell an 8 again.
Someone.
Oh, I can bring a 9.
I'm sorry. Does
The Ponto.
Aaron not have a tier 10 battleship?
No.
Okay.
Like Bravo to Battle Room 1.
I'll have our tier 10 DDs. I have 3 of them.
Okay, so we got a 7 and a 9, and a 9 and a 7. Okay, so tiers look good. Ships.
That's 8, Rigel, not 9. Not 7.
Counting is hard.
Kansas.
Reading
versus
Roman
West.
numerals is hard. I'm saying.
All right. So Alpha's going to Battle Room 1. Bravo's going to Battle Room
It looks the same to me. I don't get it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's get Alpha Battle Room 1. Bravo can stay here.
No, Rigel, we're sailing tier 8s, not
Bravo's
tier 7s.
moved.
here. Wait, yeah, but half of Bravo moved. What's happening?
Yep, Bravo's going to 1.
I feel like
okay, Bravo to 1.
I feel like in order to get like a decent feel for battleships, you kind of have to play with a lot of other classes in there too. You know,
sometimes, yeah, but it wouldn't really be battleship class if we didn't have most of our people running ships too.
We gotta clear this up because
So we can talk about angles and whatnot.
goes down there.
Okay, yes. So let's get the team set. Let's go. Let me just drag everybody back up.
Help.
Just get everybody back in. Okay, so let's get Alpha to Battle Room 1, Bravo to Battle Room 2, and we should be good to go.
All right.
I'm a spectator. I'm not a spectator.
Hi, Golf.
It's derp.
Hello.
Derp. Derp, 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 derp.
Indeed.
How are you, derp?
Okay. I just got dust in my nose. One moment.
Dusting your nose?
I thought I was gonna have a bad sneeze. I got dust up my nose for a second.
Oh, I thought you were saying like dusting your nose, like powdering your nose. I was like, derp, please don't turn to droogs.
No, I'm already pretty enough. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha. Wait, what does that have to do with drugs?
What? Oh, I thought you meant. Oh, powder.
Yeah, powder your nose.
Powder. We're thinking
Powder
of.
your nose.
We're thinking of different kinds.
I mean, whenever I don't know, maybe it's just because like I only ever heard it in Pulp Fiction, but
I
that's
guess
what the lady
so.
did in Pulp Fiction when she said, "I'm gonna go powder my nose." So,
Oh no!
you know.
No.
I hope not.
No.
What?
Other team, Davis, I think was a criminal.
Davis was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for our team is you.
Oh shit! I should have had Rigel play Kremlin. I should have played Kearsarge.
I could have gone Musashi if we really wanted to do that.
Okay. So let's make sure that we maintain our angles, even if we have to kite, that's fine. But we'll maintain our angles, and we'll try to at least have two people targeting an active target. So if somebody gets trapped out on a flank and has to kite, you can request for some support. And we'll try to shift as appropriate to make sure we get you that support. The interior lines are probably not going to be much of a threat unless they overexpose themselves. So like that Kremlin where he was in the position last time, he's not really that big of a deal. We can let him be there. We'll focus on the flanks unless we see something like they don't have a Schlieffen. Maybe there's a Pommern. If the Pommern pushes up too far into Bravo Cap, yeah, that's where we want to call for support fire on that, So on the left side, I guess we'll put like Sherman and Rigel on the inside, and Leaf and Azul, you guys can go to the flanks. On the east side, we've got Republic and probably Montana pushing the flanks with Ohio and a sniper support. And Woods, if you take that Schlieffen and just park him up somewhere in there and just look menacing, that'll lock that center action down until we win the 9-10. And once you win the 9-10, then you can move up with their support. Ah, Woods is not listing. Aha. Why is Red recruiting?
No.
All right, so Sherman, if you take a position somewhere around the south tip of that island, then you can stay versatile and able to shift where needed. Just watch your angles, and then I'll take a little bit more northern position. Just try to survive it for as long as I can. You copy, Sherman?
Oh yeah, sorry, I thought I transmitted there.
Okay, good. Just checking. I want to make sure. I'm going to try to stay dark here for a little while. Okay.
We'll turn south here. Or turn north here, I mean. Not south. Turn north here. And drop your speed down to like half.
Who are you talking to?
Azul.
But
Just head north. Drop your speed to like half, so you're pushing slow. See Ohio there.
No shot on Ohio. They've got a heavy force to the east. That's going to be a nasty skirmish. But the Ohio looks like he's vulnerable. So Sherman, let's put you in on the Ohio and the Montana out there.
Okay.
Schlieffen, when you post up on an island position, oh, he's not on comms.
3 citadels onto Vermont. Ouch.
Red's shooting at someone. It's you, Rigel, I think. Just smacked him for like 24.
Ooh.
You know, with the sap.
Yeah, west flank looks to be our... Ah, shit, they got a Kansas out there.
Yeah, there's a Kansas out here. And a Montana. Yeah, they split pretty evenly. Minus the Kremlin in the middle.
Kremlin's moving in
Fires
because
on
he's seen his
Burgoyne.
death on the Schlieffen. Schlieffen, just can't take that massive pounding.
Just too close.
Focus at Burgoyne.
Citadel in Ohio, enforce that advantage on the alpha flank, although it's not much of an advantage.
It's not really much of an advantage at all now. In fact, we're technically speaking behind because our mass
Yeah.
is coming.
Yeah, what's the Burgoyne's detection?
14.6, probably lowered is about 14 point, like 14, probably 14 flat, maybe 13.9, 13.8. Monty, you got shots on Ohio, right?
Okay, we're going to lose that Schlieffen.
Damn.
If you keep pushing that Ohio back, I should be able to get a rear shot on him.
Fine. Slow boat coming out slowly.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep that skirmish going on the east.
Hold your shots. He's about to turn broadside.
Okay, there goes the...
Hey,
Bravo
I needed
sky.
that gun.
Focusing the bomber.
There's Monty.
I'm pushing up.
It's Ohio first.
Here's broadside. I don't have AP loaded. Damn it.
Trying to get my back guns on the LCs.
Not doing much to me.
Tank you off,
What?
Ohio.
Good. Now Ohio should be clear for you. He popped a spot or he's going for someone.
He's firing back at you, Rigel.
Yeah. Took out a gun. I'm okay. Took out my gun.
Appreciate Red giving me more area to shoot.
Jesus.
Really nice of him.
Auburn's coming out.
Is that Ohio goes down? We should have his cap.
Yeah,
Kremlin's moving up.
I like broadside being a
Yep, I'm getting in a dodge.
There's shots.
No more shots on Ohio. Kremlin's moving for my broadside. I gotta move.
Trying to forward here.
Okay, Mass, look for angles to support me on this Kremlin kill.
Yep.
Just see what you can do. Right now, we don't want to overcommit.
Yeah, folks out, I'll have his broadside.
Yeah.
And I am dark at the moment.
Yep. Stay dark. We're just buying time.
So, Mike, can anybody finish off that Ohio or do I need to?
Negative. It's you guys.
Alright, I'll finish it. I'll just try to.
You spotter playing that Kremlin?
I whiffed.
No dice.
4K.
No, I got him.
Okay.
2K.
I'm going. Montana's going back in for that.
There you go. Good.
Help with that Palmer.
Yeah, he's backing up. He knows.
Yeah, he does. I might be able to take his rear. Okay, you guys are still just skirmishing on the Alpha Cap, but we did neutralize it, the advantage.
But yeah,
I'm pushing the
as long
Kremlin.
as we deal with that Kremlin. If we deal with that Kremlin, we'll be fine over here.
Kremlin's got my side. I'm
We need
done.
to deal with that Kremlin. It's a rough spot to be in right now.
Okay, Columba, you're gonna have to switch to Kite because you lost your friend.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I'm gonna try to even it up on this Krem. I'll come in and help you out.
Yeah, Mash is waiting for me to turn. I gotta wait for a shot to come out.
He's double perma-fired. I'm gonna just bow and I should be able to burn him down. Although, oh, he's going for Ram, I think.
I could take that.
Oh, no, he's not.
There you go.
Yeah, he's not. I can't really target that Kremlin. You got him? Oh shit! High Thunder.
Unsure. Yeah, I got him.
Fantastic.
Good.
Fuck, how did I citadel him? I was at like 45-degree angle.
No, you weren't.
It's Kremlin, you're close. Also, 45 degree, you can set it all Kremlin. Push it close.
Okay. I'm gonna.
That's a
I'm gonna
Thunderer
come back and
pushing
help
right
you
in
with
the
that
middle.
Thunderer. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good work on the Palmer. Looks like we're starting to rotate Charlie a little bit.
I'm gonna actually rotate back here. I'm not even gonna worry about fighting this Montana and Kansas over here.
Yeah, we can just ignore them and leave.
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean, I'm gonna give him a nasty angle here.
Ooh, Thunder's giving me broadside.
Right now, I don't feel comfortable taking that with Monty.
Light him up. I can't see him.
Come on, come on.
Annoying.
I'm poking out.
Right.
There he is. No broadside
who's
anymore,
turning?
but...
Yeah. We can get some help on. Okay, Ohio, Montana on the east flank. Probably even Republic. Why don't we focus that Thunderer down?
Rotating.
Turning in A, I'm gonna pull through A and go deal with
Thunder and border fixing me at the moment.
Let's go dark first.
Okay, Rigel Stark.
Montana, keep coming across.
Yep.
And you'll have the Thunder.
That's what I'm doing. Just need to add more angle and get some citadel. You're done.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
All right, that's basically it.
That's probably game at that point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Mass, why don't you help with the Brejon and Vermont kill?
Yep. That's what I'm doing.
We're just gonna stay safe out here.
Yep.
Wait for assistance, basically.
Just coming to set up over here on this island.
Oregon's
Kansas is
gonna-
not an issue.
With that shot.
Yeah,
Keep the-
Kansas isn't a big issue, but the Montana, I just want to set up for him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna stay safe for now.
Yep, I'm just gonna get
Let
this
him
guy.
come to us. We'll have the angles. Mass, make sure you don't
Bougie's
expose
burning.
yourself to these guys.
Neither of them are looking at me, and I'm going behind a wall.
So long as they can't get that shot, you should be okay.
Monty.
Yep.
Freaking.
I don't care what ship you're in, Vermont hurts when it hits you.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. Big guns.
What? Borgie was burning me.
God damn it.
I don't think we're going to be able to pick that Borger up very quickly, but we've pushed him back pretty far. So get some good cover. Let them come to us.
kind of want to ask Massachusetts to poke his head out just to see where they are.
I'm gonna pop a fire. So you can find that. Kansas.
I've Austin Powers myself. I actually can't move.
This is
no, my reverse isn't working.
I've Austin Powers myself.
Okay, so it looks like that Kansas is probably going to be popped up far enough that we can take him out. Oh, but Columbo's Montana's broadside.
Oh god, he's giving me broadside too. He doesn't see me.
If you can deal with Kansas, Rigel, I'll deal with Montana.
Right.
Or you can take that shot, that's fine. I can deal with Montana. Not afraid of it. Or I can deal with Kansas. I'll deal with Montana first.
You know, I think this Montana's just made a mistake here.
Yeah, he really did. But it's fine. I'm going to punish him for it.
Yeah, that he did.
That's why you get punished for it.
Oh, there's your Kansas.
Bone does not want to shoot.
Kansas thought better of that. He's buggering out.
Kansas is gonna put me in a tough spot here. He decides to focus on me. Probably she's at the Vermont.
That works out.
We got that Kansas there coming out.
Regiment's turning out.
Yep, switching fire to Kansas.
Yep, same.
He's a burning.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
That should do him. Okay, popping up on that Montana, and that's game.
Masher likes to do that. I'm not sure why he likes to give his side to the enemy, but he does.
I don't get it. I think he's just not all that good with the controls. Not super confident with that just yet. Oh, I overlet him a little bit.
Yeah, I did too. My shot.
Yeah. He's still juking around, but
yeah, he's
trying.
And
not
that right there is probably exactly why he gives full broadside. Because y'all missed.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm gonna stop
I'm wrong.
I don't have a whole lot I can do.
That's okay. Masher will miss too.
I can smash this Bergeron pretty good. Maybe 1,000. Jeez, freaking inconsistent Tier 9 Soviet guns.
I'll raise you the inconsistent Tier 9 Soviet guns for the Tier 8 Italian.
I love
I thought the Veneto was going to beat the death of me.
Don't you make fun of my Italian guns.
Oh, they're wonderful on the Colombo, and they're pretty good on the Lepanto, but on the Veneto, they are terrible.
Yeah, the Veneto's.
Yeah, they're not good.
The black sheep. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the Veneto.
I swear Gneisenau is more accurate than
I
Veneto.
played through Veneto too. I mean, I didn't have a bad time with Veneto. It was not the most fantastic ship in the world though.
Well, it's a very tanky Tier 8 BB. It's just its guns are hilariously bad.
Outside? Oh, Masher, come here.
Did someone say guns?
Punish it.
Hi, babe. Hi, I'm Columbo. I have good secondaries.
Okay.
You and your 90.
Let's pop it back up to A school.
13 fires.
I'm reporting Vermont.
Well.
Second me.
That was pretty good. Okay, we got lots of slow pokes up. Okay, so anybody know why that battle turned out the way it did? Where was the single pivoting point of that battle? Anybody know?
My mom calling me and I couldn't play or hear.
Well,
yeah, but you won.
Fair.
Your
but
team
we
won.
won, so I don't think that was the pivot point because we
Wait,
won.
we won?
Oh yeah, we won.
Nice.
So I don't know
Dominated.
if it was the pivot point or not, but Squirrel thought he saw an opening, and by the time my slow ship got there, it was my death. I was in a thunder. So I think that absolutely changed everything because I didn't stay at range. I was trying to close.
The flanks a lot of times devolve into inconsistent skirmishes. And even if you have a numerical advantage, sometimes one ship will be like, oh, we got more than they do. Let's push up. And they get overexposed. And then, maybe somebody in the center takes a good shot and they get real low and then they're dead. And then you don't have a numerical advantage. So the flanks are inconsistent. Sometimes they're super awesome, but if they get countered, then it's not as definitive. The key thing that I saw, because both teams had really good flanking support on that last one, that was that Alpha only had the Kremlin in the center, and Bravo had a Soyuz and a Massachusetts. Since we had two ships and you only had one, we just lured the Kremlin out of position, got him in close, and just pincered him between the two ships. And that left Bravo in control of the center of the map. After that inconsequential fight, Alpha has to win. They've got to win a flank because the center is going to come over and just ruin one of the flanks' day. You got to win somewhere and you got to do it fast. And they weren't able to do it. They had to pull back because they were just getting too banged up. That happens a lot. And if you're not able to efficiently and decisively push the advantage on a flank, losing the center is there's nothing else you can do. The battle's basically decided at that point.
Give it up to the Palmer too. Charlie, he took a great position, so we couldn't even push up without giving him broadside. But
that's exactly where you want that Palmer.
His other two ships just they were out wide, but they disengaged too early, I think.
I think that was the only place that Alpha had that they could have reasonably advanced, was on the eastern flank with that Palmer, because you had 4 against Bravo's 3, and maybe you don't charge super fast, but since the Schlieffen went down, if you started moving just say screw the center, move the Kremlin all the way through and have him join that, so you got 5 on the east, you got that. You've got 3, you got 4 kills, and you can keep your own ships relatively healthy and take a flank. There's no stopping you at that point, So I think it was probably the wrong turn for the Kremlin, thinking that he had to engage the Sov and the Massachusetts rather than help out his skirmish flank. And then the skirmish had the numerical advantage, but they just couldn't leverage it. Maybe it was just the fact that the Bergeron was not really a pusher, it's a sniper. That could be it, Maybe it was just comp issues or something. I wasn't there. I didn't quite see it. But yeah, as soon as the center was lost, though, then that was game. It was done. Okay, so that's been an hour and a half. I think that's probably a little bit over what we normally would run on our training. Anybody have any questions?
Nope. Rigel, can we try and do just a quick demo for people, talking about like where to shoot, what ammunition to shoot, maybe like a little drive-by thing, like 10 minutes?
Can do. Golf. Do you want to help me with that demo in a training room?
Yeah, let me launch the game.
Yeah.
Anything to get away from paperwork.
I mean, I've still got. I'm actually almost done with my forms, thankfully. But yeah.
Fun.
But I also have an essay to write that's due at midnight, so you know.
Oh,
But yeah, I'll
that's
pop in.
how many words?
800, nothing crazy.
800. Okay.
But it's an opinion piece, so you know I have to be careful.
Do you have a strong opinion on the matter? If you do, then then it's easy.
None of the
If you
3
don't,
prompts
then
I
it's
have a
bad.
particularly strong opinion on.
Uh-oh.
So
Wait, 800 words?
Small.
Yeah, 800 words is like a page. It's really not that much at all.
Yeah.
Just rant.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we do have a dedicated class on gunnery, but when it comes to battleships, gunnery changes slightly when you're in a battleship because you have the opportunity to think more prominently about overmatch and about what types of armor that you can exploit. What lineup do you think would be best for testing and demonstrating?
I will bring. I'll bring a Repub, and let me get a tier 10 battleship, like a Des Moines. And
battleship named Des Moines.
No. A tier 10 battleship, comma, a Des Moines, comma, a Russian cruiser, comma, and a Napoli. If we could do that, that would help.
You want me?
You have a bring your
most things.
Colombo, I guess, or maybe a Montana. Bring me the battleship. Do I have somebody in a Russian with a Russian cruiser to volunteer?
You want Stalingrad or Petra?
I'll need names.
Espada.
Atlantico.
All right, Espada, and then I'll need a Napoli.
Yep, Universal has one.
Universal has one. All right.
Would you prefer a Petra or a Stali for the Russian cruiser?
It doesn't matter. Stali probably. It's a little better for demonstrating. Now I don't see. Thunder would be fine too. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter. Yeah. Now I don't actually see Universal. Oh wait, there he is. Okay. Took freaking forever.
Why can't I? There we go.
All right, Mr. Golfman, we're ready for you.
Okay, I'm coming. Hang on, sorry, I was just dumping some of these free doubloons into the starter packs for the Atlantico. They were free. I recruited a whale, so I get 10% of his kickbacks.
Yeah, you got all the dubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I whenever I get a kick
all the time.
Well, I mean that doesn't give me anything. That gives other people stuff.
All right, Golf. You want ocean tournament or ocean armor test?
Armor test is fine.
Okay. Just wanted to know what range you wanted to work at.
Yeah, I mean, mid to close range is fine. The same thing will pretty much apply to long range anyway, but...
Yeah.
Here we go. Alright, cool.
Let me make sure I'm still streaming. Okay, so for best results, Golf, could you also pop up a Discord stream?
You're not streaming right now.
Yeah, I got it. Here you go.
So
I have a much better stream quality than Rugal.
You know, I'm going to cancel my stream. Now you've made me feel bad. But I think you're going to get.
I mean, they want to see it from my perspective anyway.
Yeah. So watch Golf stream here. You can see where his crosshairs are, and that's going to really give you the best perspective on what he's talking about. Here we go.
What is the goal right now? What is?
I'm going to be talking about what to shoot and where to shoot it.
Okay.
Bravo's just
and
target.
Overmatch.
We're just bait.
Yeah. You guys are just gonna listen to me rabble for a few minutes here.
Look at the
You got calm C on.
I like that
Okay.
you took 357s for the text.
What?
What does Republic have?
431s.
Oh, I'm dumb. Right.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
I always end up disrespecting the Republic's guns to my chagrin.
Absolutely disrespect that.
Battle starts.
Yeah, you can't do that. Hi, Spada.
I'm dark.
Hi.
Napoli's dark.
Yeah, Napoli's gonna be dark. I gotta close the range here, or you just open
I can shoot the water. I shoot the water.
Yeah, just point your nose to me. Point your nose.
What
to
nose?
Me.
Napoli
yeah,
nose.
Point
Okay.
point your nose to me. And just
Yeah,
keep shooting.
Turn off secondaries too.
Right? Point your nose to me, everybody. Everybody, give me your nose.
Confirming. Turn off secondaries for everyone.
That's my secondary build Thunderer.
Nobody's turning their nose, huh?
I am. I'm just not detected.
Show me your nose. Okay, and no need to get any closer. This is just fine. Okay, perfect. So, let's talk a little bit about Overmatch. The main battery on the Republique, let's see if I can find it. Yep. The main battery on the Republique is 431 millimeters. If we divide 431 by 14.3, we're going to get a number that rounds down to 30 millimeters. So the Republique can overmatch 30 millimeters of armor. And if you ever want to know how much armor your ship's guns can overmatch, just divide the caliber in millimeters by 14.3 and then round down. And that's the highest amount of armor you can overmatch. So, as an example, Rigel here in this Des Moines, his bow section, which is basically just from the front turret to the nose, is 27 millimeters. His side plating is 30 millimeters. So if I hit Rigel anywhere on the side here, let's see if we can get Republic accuracy to help me out. It should see a couple shells, hit the side, and even at this high angle, they still penetrated because I can overmatch his armor, right? So if I'm in a Republique and I'm shooting a Des Moines, I don't really need to be very careful about where I'm aiming. As long as I'm hitting somewhere on the hull, I'm going to have a good chance of doing some damage. Now, if I'm aiming specifically for the Citadel, you want to aim below that front turret. And if any of the shells go where I pointed, we should get a Citadel here. No, went a little high, but that's about where you want to aim on a Des Moines. Now, the Stalingrad, if we look at a Stalingrad, the easiest way to tell is, can you see how sort of the shape of the bow here? You can see there's kind of like this line in the camouflage or like in the armor model right here. Or like you can see where the shape of the bow isn't very sloped and it's actually more flat. If you try to land shells right there, on the very lower part of his bow, what you'll find is that they'll bounce, although I actually hit too high on his nose. You can see the shell impact was just above that line here, same with the other one. But what that means in essence, and the side of the Stalingrad is like 150 millimeters, so I'm not overmatching that. In essence, what that means is when you're shooting at a Stalingrad, if you have any shells that hit the lower part of the nose, nothing's going to happen. They're just going to bounce off, right? So if you have 25 millimeters of overmatch, which I believe pretty much every tier 10 battleship except for like the upcoming Mecklenburg will have, you just shoot the upper nose of the Stalingrad, your AP will go right through. Of course, your high explosive penetration is so high that you can also just switch to high explosive. It has the added benefit of potentially starting a fire on the Stalingrad. And because the Stalingrad is a super cruiser, it actually burns very, very well. It's not like it doesn't get the same cruiser skills as before. In the past, cruisers got the fire prevention skill and the fire burn reduction time skill. The Stalingrad gets neither of those anymore. So if a Stalingrad is bow into you, unless you're aiming for a high damage AP salvo to try and finish him off, you're much better off just switching to high explosive and getting the burn on him. Because your high explosive is going to penetrate anywhere on his nose. It's going to penetrate his 50 millimeters of upper belt. It's going to penetrate his 50 millimeters of deck plating. And it's going to cause full pens on the superstructure. It's going to knock out AA guns. It's going to knock out... hang on just a second. I'm getting a phone call. We're just going to do that. It's going to knock out secondaries, and it's going to set fires. Stalingrad is very vulnerable to fires, so keep that in mind. Now, the Napoli is very similar to the Stalingrad in the terms of it has that same reinforced like icebreaker near the waterline. So let's see if we can hit it so you guys can see it. Yeah, look at that. 5 ricochets right off the nose, right? That's because I aimed too low. I hit the icebreaker on this Napoli, right? So If ever you find yourself having trouble dealing damage to a ship in your battleship, check its armor model. I'm going to aim for the upper nose this time. Dispersion looks pretty good. And you can see I got 4 pens for 17,000 damage. Right? So it's all about where you shoot. And the last example I have is the Thunderer. Right? So in the instance where you cannot overmatch your enemy, and that's typically when you're fighting another battleship. So let's just fire at the nose of this Thunderer to start. And you can see that all the shells that hit the nose just bounced right off, right? They're not going to do anything. So when you're fighting a battleship that's nose in like this, you have 2 options. Your first option is to aim high for the superstructure, because the superstructure of a battleship is only 19 millimeters, and I believe even a Scharnhorst can overmatch a superstructure. So you can see that my shells that are hitting Leaf superstructure here are doing damage. If you hit the turrets and actually cause a penetration on the turret, that will also do some damage. Your other option, when you're fighting a bow-in target that you absolutely cannot overmatch, is just to switch to high explosive. Because high explosive is going to do damage regardless of the angle. You know, it's true that when you're playing a battleship, your primary ammunition type is armor piercing. That's 100% true. You want to fire armor piercing more often than not. But there are very specific situations where you don't want to be doing that anymore. And that is, you know, especially if I was, you know, let's say instead of 10 kilometers from the Stalingrad, let's say I'm 17 kilometers from the Stalingrad, right? I'm not going to be able to reliably land shells on the point of his ship that I'm aiming for. I'll be able to reliably hit him, but where I hit him is going to be anybody's guess. So you're better off just using the high explosive and firing center of mass, because your shells are going to land short, they're going to land long, they're going to land all along the length of a ship, and you are going, because it's a cruiser, you're probably going to score some penetrations. And since it's a super cruiser, you want to get them burning, because they're going to die faster when they're burning, unless, you know, they get dev struck. Obviously, that's the fastest way to go down. So, you know, last example here, Leaf, go ahead and throw it in forward. We're going to have a little joust. I'm going to talk about how to do a drive-by real quick. So let's say I'm in a situation, and this will happen fairly often. I'm in a situation where I need to kill Leaf and survive. And Leaf needs to avoid a ram, right? So Leaf, if you ram here, you're going to lose the battle. So just keep that in mind. Okay, Rigel's giving me too juicy.
You want me to actually try to drive by you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna try and drive by me. Sorry, Rigel, I had to do it.
You only got one. Ha ha
ha. But yeah, so Leaf is gonna try and drive by me. So here's the way it works. Is that we know Leaf, if he rams, he's gonna lose here, right? So he doesn't want to ram. So if we know this information and we know he's not gonna ram us, the way to get an advantage on a drive-by is to play chicken, basically. Because whoever plays chicken better is going to have a better angle. Now, there's 3 outcomes to a drive-by. Either we ram, we pass by so close that neither of us really do critical damage, or the third option is that one of us wins. All right, so it looks like this is going to be one of those close pass situations here. Yeah, see, my guns can't aim low enough to actually hit his superstructure, so we just got a bunch of overpens. That's one option, right? Now, once we've done this drive-by, yeah, we can kind of circle around. But once you've done this drive-by, if you really need to survive, you cannot continue this turn. If you continue your turn, he's going to get your broadside. So you actually want to sail away from the target. And you can see there I don't overmatch Leaf, so the shells just bounced right off. And same with him. He doesn't overmatch me, so the shells just bounce right off. Another good thing to note on the Thunder is that, yes, that butt is very flat, and you can absolutely smash him from behind if he's showing you his butt straight on. Let's see if I can kind of do that here. Yeah, you can see I actually got a penetration because I hit the flat part of his butt. Yeah, got away with going broadside there because I'm in a Republique. And, so... But, you know, we got to go for the trade here. But that's kind of the way you want to do it, is you want to play chicken with the enemy. Because if they can't afford to be rammed, then you'll actually have a chance of getting a successful drive-by off on them without taking too much damage in return. If you know the enemy has a good chance of getting you by ramming you, if you know that they will actually go for it, then going for a drive-by usually not the best idea. Because you're just going to get rammed and you're going to lose a trade. So let's go for this again. We're setting up for another joust here. The other thing you can do is, if you have enough time before you actually engage the enemy, you can aim for their turrets and try to knock one out. Because that will significantly reduce the amount of firepower they have to bear. Right, now look at Leaf's angle. You see, he is aiming his guns all the way back here. I'm turning in to try and reduce the distance here, and either cause him to fail the drive-by, and also make him wait a longer time. So I have the angle first. He had to wait longer before he had a good kill shot on me. So, because I was turning in, he had to hold his fire longer than I had to. Also, what are you guys doing back there?
They're rule one.
I see. Well, Leaf is dead, so let's go ahead and get this over with here. And I say, as I do absolutely nothing to the Napoli.
A good point I wanted to make there as well, when we were doing that, because in the Thunder it's very prevalent. If you have a slow turret turn time and you're going for a drive-by like that, keep in mind where you need to have your guns in order to do an actual drive-by. Especially like in that case, right? Thunder's turret traverse speed is, I mean, at least in my Thunder, is not great. It's not enough that I can shoot him while traveling in and still get my guns to turn in time. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pre-traverse your guns to where you expect to engage the enemy. If you don't pre-traverse your guns, then you don't have the turret traverse speed in a battleship to actually get them on target.
A lot of people on 32. I saw a lot of people on 31 doing that.
Yeah, you gotta pre-traverse your guns.
I got 6 torpedo protection kits on that drive-by attempt there.
See if we can get a citadel on that Napoli. Yep, there we go. I aimed for the stern section where I knew I could overmatch the Napoli, and managed to get a citadel. So, you know, you absolutely can overmatch citadels through the stern. There's the upper bow shot on the Stalingrad there. You can see where I aimed. Let's get the rear turret in on that as well, if we survive that long.
Okay, turned on the secondaries.
Yeah, you can see I haven't pre-traversed my guns, so my front turret isn't on target, and so he could absolutely kill me in the space of time where I actually had the kill shot, but because I didn't prepare for it, I didn't get it. But yeah, so little bit of information there. We talked about where to shoot, how to determine your overmatch, what type of ammunition you should use, and doing a drive-by. So those are like the very important parts of playing a battleship, because you know you only fire once every 30 seconds. So you want to make sure that every time you squeeze the trigger, you're doing some damage. That's
lot
the
of
essence
this.
of it.
A lot of this really involves armor models and knowing different ships. If you don't know the armor models and knowing different ships, probably the key information you need to know to prepare for a drive-by is watch your angle, try to bounce the enemy's shot, hold your shot until you've got a citadel, and then shoot with pre-traverse turrets. If you're doing that, then you're probably going to win on the drive-by.
Yep. Absolutely.
Any questions, guys?
I have one question because
Sure.
I played Des Moines a lot, right?
Mhm.
And over the course of clan battles, I found myself in many situations where I've got like a Republic or an Ohio or something that overmatches my nose pushing into me, and there's just not. I mean, obviously, I don't have many options there. What would y'all say the best option for me to do is in that situation when they
bend over, grab your
Also
ankles,
helps.
and kiss your ass goodbye.
Realistically speaking, if you're in a situation where an Ohio or a Republic or something like that is pushing you and they overmatch your nose and you have nowhere to go, you're either
You're
A,
dead.
just in a bad position in general, or B,
Right.
your team just either died or just wasn't there to defend that side. In which case, then that was a bad position.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's happening, something has gone wrong before that point to put you in that situation. But once you get to that situation where they're like within 10 kilometers, 12, 14 kilometers of you, you're kind of screwed. There's not much you can do.
Two things that
I
are
mean, the
likely to
best
go
you
wrong.
can do is like if you have the legendary modification on the Des Moines, you can absolutely play with your throttle enough that they can't land that perfect citadel shot. They're still going to
Right.
smash you. Don't get me wrong, but you won't. Hopefully, you won't get dev struck if you can. If you see him fire and then get your nose a little bit farther forward or a little bit farther back.
Right.
That's your best bet. And like the other thing too is, when you're engaging a battleship like that, if you try and angle a little bit, it makes your citadel a much easier shot because it widens the shot, and it also means that the shell doesn't have to punch all the way from the tip of your nose into the citadel. So there's basically no chance that the shell arms in your nose and does a full pen instead of actually reaching your citadel. If you angle slightly, it makes the shot so much easier to place, and it means that you're almost guaranteed to just get deleted. The best I can say is like maybe you can angle enough that they think they'll penetrate your belt armor and like try to wiggle it. That would be the best advice I could give. Either that or just commit to the nose in and just try to deal as much damage to them as you can and hope that your team can dig you out before you die.
Right.
The two things I find that are most likely to put you in that position beforehand is, you and the cruiser getting a little bit too spicy on a flank, moving up a little too far, and then all of a sudden there's a battleship you have to deal with, and there's no option for you to retreat. That's maybe when you break cover on an island a little too early, or you don't notice that your team is retreating around you and you don't exit that island in time, And if you're doing that, then either you're being too aggressive or you're not being defensive enough by deciding that you have to kite, If your team dies and you're the last one up there, then that's unfortunate, but you probably should notice that and kite and get out of there and win somewhere else on the map,
Right.
So you don't have to take that fight. There's a lot of options to keep your boat up that don't involve you committing to that fight, and it all involves decisions before that key point is reached.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to avoid that situation if at all possible because there's no getting out of it. So, you want to, like, if you see he's pushing, you back off. Des Moines may be great at holding a point, but, if the point can't be held, then there's no point in staying there, So don't be afraid to be like, hey guys, this guy's pushing, I'm gonna back it off just to be safe, or I'm gonna turn out, or I'm gonna go dark and kite just to be safe. Because the Des Moines absolutely can kite. There's no ship in the game that can't.
Yeah.
Some ships are better at it than others, but you have a lot better chance if you're staying 14 to 15 kilometers away, maneuvering hard and drastically changing your speed, than if you just sit behind an island and wait for him to come to you.
Yeah, if that charging Kremlin gets within 10 kilometers, it's too late. If he's at 15 and you're like, he's going to keep charging, that's the point where you can make the decision.
Because Des Moines is fairly stealthy, so you can kind of get away with.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Well, that's solid 2 hours of training there. I think we've got our money's worth out of tonight. We're back on our regular schedule from here on out, guys. So Monday night, we're going to be starting up battle collar training and then having clan battle skirmishes after that, kind of getting prepared a little bit for what the season's going to look like. So expect to, see some super ships in the clan lineup there and some different tactics at play. And then we're going to start up a couple of off-season events as well as the week progresses. I think probably by Tuesday next week, you should expect to see a little bit more of what our plans are for the off season, because I think we've got a couple other fun events that should be starting up. So stay tuned.